What's up, YouTube? Now we're on to the Terminated Tier 10 update video. This is like 2 months later. I'm going to quickly go through and see where I want to reposition things because, you know, over time I listen to you guys. I end up like reading the comments and I just like end up trying things. You're going to see the AMR. I've had a very different approach on how I look at the weapon now that I've like kind of forced myself to like use it a bunch more and really force myself to see like where is it good, where is it bad? Because for a while there, I had a hard time really seeing like where its potential was, but you know, trying to use it like you do in a bot mission, I started to like kind of, you know, hone in on it, and I'll explain later. Also, we have all of our new stratagems, including the big rework on the cluster bombs. But let's get into it. Immediately off the hop, I want to actually put the heavy machine gun lower. I feel like I was being a bit too nice to the heavy machine gun versus bugs. I'm really like, and this is just something that like I really do like the heavy machine gun. I think some of the changes that they've made recently to reduce the durable damage by a bit, and also if the shot lands at more than like a 45-degree angle to like the armor, it actually loses pen. So when you're shooting at a ball titan, sometimes you'll just notice ricocheting shots. Not a fan of that. Also, it makes shooting at a ball titan sometimes really awkward, which is it really shouldn't feel that awkward. So I'm hoping that there's going to be like some revert to some of these changes, because like I think it deserves it, and it's like it obviously is a weapon that has quite a few downsides, but it should feel stronger versus those heavier armored targets, I feel like, and it currently doesn't because of like some unfortunate changes. On top of that, I want to bring the Patriot down a little bit. I do think that the Emancipator actually deserves to be even put up a little bit higher, you know, closer to A+. You know, the Emancipator is just so nice for like bringing for that heavy nest or that blitz mission, you know, having that much AT on it, including how tanky it feels at the moment. It feels really good. You know, they've increased the HP on it, and it's been a pleasure to be running. And it just feels so powerful. The Patriot exosuit just doesn't have enough missiles, and its machine gun is just too low caliber to really mess with enough of like the charges and stuff like that. You know, if I was going to change the Patriot at all, I'd actually give it one more pen on the machine gun. I do think it would actually be fair, especially if they don't like up the damage too much or even bring the damage down, but up the pen, you know, kind of balancing it out. But at least it would be better against like more chargers and ball titans and stuff like that, because like you just feel so limited by only having 14 rockets. If you miss one of those rockets, it is devastating, versus like missing like with one shot of your Emancipator. It's just big difference, and especially in how many bug nests you need to kill. You know, you can kill, you know, what is it, 198 or whatever it is, bug holes with the Emancipator, or 14 with the Patriot X2, and that does make a difference, right? When you look at it that way, like it does change how you look at it. Another one is I do think that the HMG emplacement deserves to actually go up now that you can kind of stay on it and you don't have to worry so much about it getting blown up by things hitting it and stuff like that. It used to be if you were on it, you know, trying to kill a bunch of enemies and something came over and just finished off the turret, you just fall over dead immediately because it blew up. Now that doesn't happen, which is fantastic. It's a lot more powerful in that regard. I do think I was a bit too harsh on the two machine gun turrets, and I was a bit too easy on the mortars. I do think the mortars deserve to be lower, only because in the vast majority of bug missions, you're not really going to be using them to that great effect, and there's a lot of negatives to bringing them because they can affect your teammates so harshly. But obviously, they're insanely powerful in the 20-minute missions. If your team all brings mortars, you can almost just go AFK and just kill a ball titan or two when they show up, right? Like, these mortars are insanely powerful in those 20-minute missions. They're incredible. Another one that I felt like I was too harsh on was going to be the spear. I still am not a fan of what the spear has kind of become and how the recoilless is just taken its spot, and it's just so much better. But at least the spear is like, you know, fairly good for people who just can't aim the recoilless, or they want something just easier. I do think the spear has like a ton of downsides, especially in like close quarters. You know, if something gets too close to you, you literally can't use it. You need to somehow like break that distance and get far enough away. But it is nice for like people that are having trouble, like, you know, hitting their shots on like Bile Titans and stuff like that. But I still do hope that in the future, the, you know, the spear, you know, moves more towards a spot where like, you know, it's actually one tapping Bile Titans no matter where it hits and so on and so forth. It's just the difference between the recoilless and the spear is just not great enough for the spear to shine. I miss where the spear was actually like had its niche and it was actually really fun to use. It's just, why would I not just bring the recoilless? It's just better. It's just better. Another one that really impressed me was the AMR, and I actually want to bring the AMR up to the A tier. I know that might be a shocker to some, but the AMR, if you pair this especially with the supply backpack, is actually quite good at dealing with Bile Titans and Chargers, but you need to be getting pretty good about crouching or proning and just like fanning the hammer at the weak point. It does kill or blow up the armor on a Charger ridiculously fast. I think it's like, you know, less than a mag, and then you just have a couple more shots to blow up the actual leg. And then versus a Bile Titan's head, it's like one complete mag plus or minus a couple more, which is like really easy to do if you haven't missed any shots. Like, and you can drop it really fast if you fan the hammer while prone. Now, ammo will be a concern, and that's why I'm going to recommend you bring the supply backpack and why it's not any higher. But I do really enjoy using it if you have some way of like consistently keeping up with the ammo demand that it will require. Other than that, I don't think I'd really want to move anything else. I do think I was a little bit too harsh on the gas backpack. It's a little bit better than I was giving it credit for. It is nice to be able to deal with like those Chargers that are like messing with you up close, you know, just to like get some heat off of you. But other than that, I don't think I really want to move too much more. All right. Next, going into the new stratagems, the car, no surprise, absolutely like somewhere in the A tier, really strong for just getting away from the bugs and just scouting around the map and getting to the next objective faster. Bugs just can't keep up with you. Yeah, you got to be careful of Bile Titans, you got to be careful of Chargers, but for the most part, with like a semi-skilled driver, you can easily get away from them. You know, just keep practicing on how good you are with it. The Phalanx shield is very similar to the ballistic shield. I wouldn't necessarily recommend bringing it. Yeah, you can do some like cool things of like, you know, spewers spewing at you. You technically could tank it, similar to the ballistic shield, and it doesn't break, so it's technically a little bit better. But the fact that melee attacks just go straight through it, it's just not great. I want to see these shields actually feel like shields versus Termids. I'm sure this is something that the devs already know about, and they probably just haven't had time to implement, but I really want them to actually like stop the melee. If you could just absorb the melee and like, you know, keep fighting and actually like keep poking through your shield, I think they would just feel so cool. Like you'd actually feel like a Spartan, but no, not yet. We did have a limited amount of time with the gas mines. I do think the gas mines are actually deserve to be in like somewhere in the B tier. They were actually, I think, better than the AT mines just because of how much CC they were able to provide, and they're actually fairly good at killing. Better than the normally incendiary mines just because they have that extra level of CC. I do think that mines still require a lowering of cooldown and having like more visibility, easier to like spot on the ground for Helldivers, because it's just far too often that Helldivers just walk into a minefield and it's like pretty hard to notice on some planets because of just, you know, how much foliage and so on and so forth is on the ground. So, you know, still hoping for some changes there. All right, going into the anti-tank emplacement, this one's been a little bit harder for me to figure out because I don't think it's quite as good as it is on bots. So I don't think it quite deserves to go straight into S tier, but I do think it is ridiculously close. If it somehow got some more AoE damage, I think it would be closer, but it is fantastic for Brood Commanders, Bile Spewers, Chargers, Impalers, and Bile Titans. So the hierarchy of the hierarchy of like the higher like tiers, like definitely get wiped out by this thing. But the problem is that on most of these tier 10 bug missions, you're going to be swarmed down by like these smaller enemies, which are going to ruin your fun, and you're going to have to constantly jump off of it or have a teammate that's kind of protecting you, or make sure you bring like a backpack, right? So your backpacks do definitely help a lot on these bug missions, you know, if you are wanting to pair it. but sometimes there's so many of them that your backpats won't be able to kill enough, which definitely decreases it. It does have some amount of AoE potential, but you're going to be wasting a lot of extra shots just trying to like AoE down a bunch of hunters, which typically doesn't work too well. You know, that's where the HMG emplacement shines, which is probably a good balance point between the two. Flame Sentry, I really want this one to be better, but I found a lot of the time it was just kind of on par with the other two machine gun sentries. My biggest issue at the moment with this sentry is that far too often it lights itself on fire. A lot of hunters like jump onto it and get in its face, and it's like flaming in front of it, which is pretty damn good at killing those enemies, but it sets the ground on fire, which then kills it. It probably needs to be fire immune. I don't know why it already isn't, but if this thing was fire immune, I think it would immediately bump up to like A tier, probably next to like the autocannon sentry or something like that, because at least it would be like a really good chaff killer, because it like draws enemies in and it can like flame them pretty damn fast. Obviously it's not going to be great against, you know, a charger. And for that reason, I do think like the Tesla Tower actually is the better one overall, even though the Tesla Tower is lethal to your teammates. You know, as long as you're trying to communicate to your team, you know, I do think the Flame Sentry is actually in like a relatively like good spot. It's just make it immune to fire, and I think we're like perfect. All right. Next, we have the cluster munition rework of the Airburst. I definitely think the Airburst is in a much better spot. I'm going to put it in B+. I think the cluster munitions are awesome. Like I said in my bots video that you may have already watched, I do think that, you know, they should probably remove the 80-meter range limit where it just airbursts. I understand that that's the point of the airburst, is that airburst, but maybe they gave us the ability to cause the airburst. That'd be great if we could somehow like shoot off around. If you've ever played Destiny, you like let off on the mouse 1 or your fire button, and then when you do that, it blows up, so you can kind of like min-max it. Would be really cool, and that way you can like rain the shells down on the enemies exactly where you want them. Another one would just be like, you know, I think maybe just giving it more rockets if possible. You know, that would be nice. And if it could have like some kind of tiered reload, would also be like a really nice one for bugs. Far too often, like you're going for a reload and a hunter jumps on you and you have to move and shoot it, and then you got to go for another reload because it doesn't do a tiered reload. So you have to restart the entire reload over again. Hunter jumps on you, then you got to shoot it, and you're going for the third reload, and hopefully you can get it off. So if they could add some kind of a step somewhere in the tiered reload, I think it would help the bug missions quite a bit. This is less of a concern for bots, but it's happening quite a bit on bugs. WASP, I'm very much looking forward to like seeing how good the WASP is on bugs. I do think it'll actually be probably A+, S-, something like that, but I don't know exactly where it's gonna lie quite yet. Unfortunately, I just put that there. But I do think it's going to be like a higher one. I'm very much looking forward to it. It'll probably be like, you know, around like half a mag to a mag to kill a ball titan, which pretty damn fair. Chargers probably like half a mag. I do expect it to probably 1 to 2 tap a brood commander, which is going to be sick. You know, just like firing off all those rounds. I think it's going to be so satisfying to deal versus bugs. But yeah, very excited to see where the WASP goes. And I do think, you know, we should be getting it within like, you know, a week or two. So I will be having a dedicated video for that. And yeah, I'll be discussing, you know, it's, you know, breakpoints and where I like using it, where I don't like using it in that video. So stay tuned for that. If you guys haven't already, do check out the Discord link down below. Comment on what you guys think about the placing. You know, am I being too harsh, too easy on something? You know, I'd love to have these discussions. I know we've been having a lot of discussions about, you know, where I place the strafing runs. So feel free to drop by the stream. I stream basically every day other than Monday, 3 a.m. to noon EST. So you can catch me live quite a bit then. I might actually be live right now when you check. And yeah, much love. Consider dropping a like down below if you like the video. There'll be more to come. I definitely want to do an update video for all the primary weapons, secondary weapons, and grenades, because we've gotten quite a few changes there. And just in general, I feel like some of my opinions have changed over time, and I'd love to give you guys an update. So much love. Let me know what other videos you'd like to do. I got some other ideas in my head, like an armor video. I definitely want to maybe do one for war bonds. I know a lot of people have been asking on stream, like, hey, what war bonds should I get? What are the pros and cons of different war bonds? I kind of want to do like a comprehensive video on like which one I'd recommend in what order and just like pros and cons of each one. So yeah, much love to YouTube. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.